Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit ActiveDay.com to apply.
Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Senior producer Ryan Nicholson in charge of things on the other side of the glass this morning. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor, text 304-935-5008. We do the show from the Jared Construction Studios, right on time, right on budget. Visit jared-construction.com. Phone calls to the show with service of Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly. Texting service is provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony the Taylor on Virginia Street. Tony's summer hours now in effect. He's open Mondays, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 5:30, and Saturdays by appointment only. Check out bestmastertaylor.com or Tony's Facebook page if you would like more information. Happy Monday to you. Of course, it's hot. You don't need me to tell you that. Thanks for coming. But a little warm out there, and only going to get warmer as the week goes on. In all seriousness, a lot has changed in the world since we last spoke on West Virginia Day on Friday with the U.S. bombing of the Iranian nuclear facilities Saturday evening our time. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones, who always has opinions on everything, very learned opinions, is going to join us to talk about that and our state of global affairs coming up a little bit later on. Plus anything else Danny and I want to get into, we will get into a little bit later on in the show. But as always, your calls and texts are welcome. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Tony V. Taylor, text 304-935-500. A big announcement made on Friday about Capital Market. Evan Osborn from the market is with us right now. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Busy weekend in Charleston, was it not, man? I mean, Friday night, half the town was over at Fife Street, for the launch of Animal Ale. And then Saturday, a couple thousand of our closest friends on the boulevard for Foam at the Dome. And just a whole lot going on. But in the midst of all that, Capital Market had a big announcement on Friday.
Indeed, we did. Yes, we're excited to unveil our addition to the National Register of Historic Places.
Now, what exactly does that mean?
Means that we are essentially recognized by the federal government as a property worth recognition in the context of the development of the United States. And so the piece of property, the listing, if you will, is actually part of back to turn of the century when the building that you see today was home to the Kanawha, Michigan rail line and their freight depot. And throughout the existence of the Kanawha, Michigan rail line and now what is now Norfolk Southern, really the goods and products that were shipped through the depot were transformative in the development of America's industrial economy.
So how exactly did this all come about, this distinction?
So back to, mid-'90s when Charleston Renaissance Corp was redeveloping or doing the adaptive reuse on the property, what would ultimately become the market. The building had been in a state of neglect, and over the years after it ceased being a freight depot for the rail yard, it had been the recycling center for Kanawha County at one point. There are photos that we have from Charleston newspapers of you remember back when newspapers, those things you would take the old.
I'm aware.
They would have those bulk, just giant bales of paper that they would use to store for their production over on the boulevard. And what became clear was that this property was the market really came out of the infancy of its existence. This was a gem of a property, and it was worth preserving. And so we had several board members and people that were transformative in the creation of the market really pushed to make this happen. And it's not an easy or quick process. We actually had to hire what is called a architectural historian, and as you can imagine, there aren't a ton of those.
Yeah.
And so through a lot of research and reference digging, and we were able to, with the support of the State Historic Preservation Office, develop our nomination to the Department of the Interior, and so the state, it's vetted through the state, and then ultimately to the federal level. And so found out that this was probably going to happen shortly after the first of the year, and Friday was sort of the culmination of it's official. We're there.
And again, you said that you folks had to hire somebody to kind of help with this because it's not something that the average everyday person is going to be able to do. What is that process like as far as how the market was chosen for this? I mean, how do the people that do the choosing do the choosing, Evan?
So it's a competitive process, and I think I mentioned this previously that a property is not historically significant just because it is old.
Right.
There has to be something of note or significance that has occurred within the space. It does have to be, I believe, at least 50 years old. Mm-hmm. So it can't just be a new property that happened to have something very important happen. It was kind of funny. One of our tenants that may or may not be the father of your senior producer said that it was now historically significant because they invested in the markets.
Yes, there you gotta love that. You gotta love that.
But it's we look at the steel and coal and the raw materials that were used really to, for example, to drive the development of the American auto industry. And so daily, all of those were going through and coming back. And over the years, what we saw is that there was a tremendous amount of interest just from a tourism standpoint and people wanting to know more specifically about the Canal Michigan Rail Line. Who owned it? What did they do? Who are they today? What have they evolved out of? And so if you ever look closely at the market, you can still see the remnants of a lot of the train tracks that actually still abut the rear end of the market. Mm-hmm. That line is still used today by Norfolk Southern. In fact, we actually lease the back half of our property. We do not own it from Norfolk Southern.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Talking to Evan Osborn again from Capital Market. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Off night tonight for the Birds. They begin a road series at Lexington tomorrow night before finally returning home after the long road trip to Gomart Ballpark Friday night to take on Gastonia. Ticket schedules, promotions, merch, and more. Visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. All right, so I guess the next big question is what does this mean for the future of Capital Market? So
it does a couple of things. First and foremost, it protects the property for the foreseeable future. If the Federal Highway Administration ever wanted to widen the interstate that is directly over us, it would protect certainly our property and the adjoining space from any future encroachment. It leverages a lot of grant opportunities. So we've already started seeing that come to fruition. So in the next 2 years, Capital Market stands to invest about $3.5 million back into the market infrastructure. So a lot of people are sometimes surprised, sometimes not, to learn that we operate Capital Market as a 501c3 nonprofit. So we're able to pursue those grant opportunities and put that money directly back into our small businesses, our farmers, and then ultimately now where we've really expanded food access programs throughout the market, give that directly back to our customers. And one of the great things, and you and I have talked about it, Evan, when you've been on the show in the past, is anytime anybody comes to Charleston and they say, "Oh, what do I need to do while I'm here?" I gave the reference of my wife's company that's in Charleston, and
they would have people come in for different conferences and meetings, and maybe they'd have time in the evenings. Like they always ask, well, what do I need to do in town? Invariably, no matter who you ask, one of the spots is always Capital Market, because there's so many things going on there. It's not just about the great food, which there is a lot of great food, and the wine shop, and the chocolate, and the restaurant, so on. But there's a whole lot more to it than just that. And everybody that comes to Charleston, I mean, I've had people, friends of mine and people, associates who have come in from all over the country that have said, I wish we had that in our city. And their city's a whole lot larger than Charleston.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't something that you see everywhere.
I don't take for granted just how special and how lucky, one, to be able to serve as the director of the market. I think I really view this as the community's market.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm very fortunate, often, most of the time, to get to lead it. And so I don't take that for granted. And, I want anyone, whether they're a local, whether they're visiting for the first time, or whether, they're traveling. We often hear from folks that are, driving to the beach that they have to stop every year at the market to pick something up on the way to the beach. And so, regardless, first time, last time, you're here 5 times a week, I want your experience to be, amazing from start to finish. And that, I think, one, is really driven by, our indoor tenants, our outdoor farmers, and the folks that, particularly today with 100+ degree temperatures, pour their blood, sweat, and tears into making this a wholly unique experience, not just in West Virginia, but throughout the country.
What can we expect on the horizon for Capital Market?
Well,
I mean,
first and foremost, because I've had 9 texts this morning about it, is corn.
Corn
Arriving today.
Okay.
Yep.
Corn is a hot commodity.
That's one of those dates every year that we circle.
Today's Corn Day?
Today is Corn Day, and I will tell you that it was probably picked less than 3 hours ago.
Okay. And where did it come from?
This would have been towards Ravenswood, and then Putnam County, probably. You get weird geographic anomalies in these certain pockets of West Virginia. So, and then I want to say Robbie's Produce, which is out towards, if you ever look to the right of the Quincy Walmart, that is actually one of the farms for Capital Market.
Okay.
I'll have to check, but definitely this week.
Okay. What other big announcements? What other activities you have going? I know you just had the Juneteenth event over there on this past week, but what else is coming up in the future?
Yeah, we're excited to partner with Regatta again for what is now the third installment of our All Fired Up Kids Barbecue Contest, and it's a whole lot of fun. So actually, it is one of the first events this year of Regatta. It's Thursday, July 3rd, and it is a kids barbecue contest, and it's conceptually, I think it's a lot of fun. We give each participant, 16 and under, a $100 market gift card and 30 minutes to go shop for their ingredients, and then come back, and then they have 90 minutes to prepare their ultimate meal. And just in the past couple of years that we've done this, to see just the creativity that lives within these young kids, and I couldn't boil water when I was their age, and to see these plates that they're putting out. One of them, former winner, actually, I believe, got hired by that Paul Smith guy at 1010.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So it's, and again, it's part of that reinvestment, not just, teaching these young kids how to not only shop the market, but really lifting up our local culinary scene. I think, look at what's happened since Paul won the James Beard Award, and there is this momentum that I don't think really was all that recognized within Appalachian cuisine over the past several years. And so it's really, really exciting to be a small part of that.
All right. Evan, always good stuff going on over at Capital Market. Congratulations on this distinction. It's a pretty big deal for Charleston to be able to have this, and for West Virginia in general, because this is not just a Charleston thing. This is a statewide and a regional thing, and it's always good to be recognized. I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Evan Osborn from Capital Market, 921. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. It's a podcast promising healthier lifestyles in the state, promoting, I should say, but I guess we could say promising too. Check out the latest episodes, WVMetronews.com, under the podcast menu. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. We'll take a break. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones when we come back on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses live to make life better for you and your family.
For half a century, Ohio farmers have relied on glyphosate for higher yields and lower input costs. The Modern Ag Alliance is fighting to keep it that way. Learn more at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Ohio farmers.
According to Feeding America, over 7 million seniors nationwide were food insecure in 2022. West Virginia is no different. Hi, I'm Jason, President and CEO of Union Mission Ministries. For 113 years, Union Mission has focused on helping people in need. Right now, our senior citizens need our help. That is why Union Mission is partnering with local senior living facilities to get food delivered directly to those in need. Will you help us reach more seniors? Visit unionmission.com to learn more.
Adventure awaits on the water. Boating season is here, and Trojan Landing Marine and Power Sports in Charleston has everything you need to make a splash. From fishing boats to family pontoons, you'll find top brands and expert advice to get you out on the water fast. Summer is short. Don't wait. Trojan Landing Marine and Power Sports, where adventure begins. Visit TrojanLanding.com and ride into something epic.
The latest in news, talk, and sports on 580 WCHS is brought to you by Jarrett Construction. Visit jarrett-construction.com for more information.
Right on time, right on budget. Call on Jarrett Construction.
923, Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. I want to tell you real quick about a special promotion we are doing. All of our stations involved in this, and we are. It's the first ever Trojan Landing Marine and Power Sports Ride and Riches game. Your chance to win a 2025 Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 and $1,000 in cash. Now listen daily to all of our stations to qualify or register at one of the following places to win: Trojan Landing, Captain Holstein's Family Entertainment Center, and A to Z Outlet. Just a couple of the places that you can register. You can also go to any of the stations' websites and register there as well. We're going to do the giveaway live at Trojan Landing on Saturday, August the 9th, starting at 10. We'll call you if you're a qualifier, and you must be present to win. We'll have a lot more details over the next couple of weeks. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Bridge Valley, offering custom-tailored trainings to supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu. Danny Jones is here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. As I said at the onset, Danny, the world has changed a lot since Saturday evening. And I don't know, I was at an event Saturday night, and my phone, went off with an alert that, and the only thing I could think of is, well, here we go. And I'm talking about the Trump administration and the obliterating his words, the nuclear capabilities of Iran. Your thoughts?
I go to bed early, so I didn't hear it when it happened. Well, I always wake up in the middle of the night, get on my phone, headline, Trump bombed Iran. So I am, wakes me up. I get on television. I've got a TV on my phone. And I went to MSNBC, because I don't watch it. And they were on Sky News. In other words, they run reruns overnight, but because this was breaking news, they got a feed until they could get their people in at 6 o'clock in the morning. CNN was live, and Fox was certainly live. And I watched all three.
News Nation also was live.
I missed that one.
Yeah, I'm a fan of, not Newsmax, News Nation.
I know you're talking. I like Andrew
Cuomo,
and I like Leland Vittert, and they've got some people in there I like. But I've never seen anything like this, and I'll be 75 in August, and it's funny when you have an event like this. The people that you didn't identify with politically, all of a sudden you do. Mm-hmm. And the people you did, you don't. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking specifically of, I don't watch TV too much in the morning. I listen to you guys, or I'm reading. This morning, Ted Cruz was on Fox and Friends. Not a show I usually watch. There I was, man. I'm with Ted. Mm-hmm. And then on ABC News on Sunday morning, you had this Iranian guy who was all for it. You had Chris Christie, one of President Trump's biggest critics.
Yeah.
He was all for it. Mm-hmm. Adam Kinzinger, he was all for it. Me, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. Yet people, there's a lot of Democrats, and it's their choice. People have different views.
Yeah, AOC is calling for impeachment based on this.
That's not surprising. Yeah. But I was real surprised by the senator from Arizona that's an astronaut.
Mm-hmm. Scott, Mark Kelly.
He came out against it. Mm-hmm. I was surprised.
He was on one of the shows yesterday morning. I'm not sure which one. I was flipping around, and I'm not sure which show. Maybe the ABC show. I'm not sure, but yeah, I
wasn't on ABC. I watched that one.
Okay, I saw his comments yesterday when he was interviewed. So you say you support it? Why?
Well, what choice did he have?
Right.
I mean, it's a dangerous bunch of people. It's a death cult. They worship death. We worship life. And I lived through 1979, and it was. I remember the hatred, and when you have tens of thousands of people chanting "Death to America" in the streets, maybe you ought to believe them.
And I remember that too, Danny. Of course, I was a kid, but I do remember. I mean, the network news every night, starting with, ABC, Frank Reynolds on ABC.
Nightline.
That's actually how Nightline got started.
That's correct.
More on that a little bit later. But I'm talking about the 6:30 news every night started day 167. It was always the lead story. And it was a time, as in 1979, when we had not had a quote unquote, a conflict since Vietnam ended. And it was just different because you didn't hear about obviously there were always things going on in the Mideast, but it really didn't involve America. But then when we saw on TV, and again, I'm a kid, and I see these hostages being brought out with tape over, not even actual blindfolds, like tape over their eyes. And it was, as you said, and I said this, and I've said this on the past on this show, Danny, many, many times. During World War II, my late grandfather, served in Iran and Iraq, and people kind of forget that there was a military presence over there.
When was that, David?
Early 40s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was over there then. And when in 1990, when the Persian Gulf crisis happened and Kuwait was taken over by Iraq, my grandfather then said, "This is a mistake, us getting involved in this." He said, "Because I'm telling you, we are never going to get out of that part of the world." And he was being very broad when he said that part of the world, because his take was, say what you want about our battles in World War II. We had things in common with Germany and Japan. Like you said, we didn't want to lose life. And I'm not trying to paint the people. I'm talking about the administration.
I understand.
Life is not that big to them, even their own. And again, I'm talking about the administration, not the people. And it's just different.
The majority of the people, I disagree, but that's what life's about. But I'm glad we went to Kuwait. You got to remember, I saw Schwarzkopf speak when he got here, and they were 150 miles from when they were in Iraq. They were 150 miles. They could have gone in and grabbed Hussein. Mm-hmm. And you could tell by his speech he wanted to go. Bush Sr. said no. He knew what he was doing. The young one didn't. Mm-hmm. And we're being penalized by the young one now. Don't get me wrong. I voted for him twice. I like the guy. I met him. Super nice guy. Mm-hmm. He was just wrong. Mm-hmm. People make mistakes. That was a big one. And cost a lot of American lives. And having been in a war that was unpopular, I mean, we lost some people. Death to people that served there. People joined the service to go there. And it was just one big mistake. People make them. But they're worried about, some people reasonably worry about that now. Mm-hmm. And President Trump is not the best messenger for this conflict. He's fine with me. I don't like him, but he's fine with me on this. And you've got these isolationists like Tulsi Gabbard. And I despise Tucker Carlson. I'm sorry. I just can't stand him and Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon's lucky he's not locked up. But they're isolationists. We had an isolationist movement before World War II. Mm-hmm. It was called, guess what, America First. And was led by a guy named Charles Lindbergh. And President Roosevelt, one of the books written about him, he was whatever you think about the New Deal, he was a great leader. Mm-hmm. And he told one of his cabinet members, if I die tomorrow, Lindbergh's a Nazi. Today he's a Nazi. Tomorrow he's a Nazi. And then you get these pictures, Lindbergh over there with Goering accepting awards. Mm-hmm. He almost married him at the 36 Olympics. I mean, and then we were bombed and he wanted to join, and Roosevelt said, are you kidding me? We had an America First movement. Mm-hmm. So when people criticize Trump, everybody's entitled to their opinion. God, as I get older, I realize, you're not right about everything. Mm-hmm. But what's your way? That's what I would ask. Mm-hmm. How would you deal with these people?
And I don't think anybody, again, we're talking to Dandy Jones, I don't think anybody would argue that the world is not a safer place without Iran having the capability of nuclear weapons. The problem that a lot of people have said is that, and a lot of the Democrats have come out, a lot of liberals have come out, and others, and some Republicans have come out and said, we had no reason to believe that they had the capability to make nuclear weapons. Your thought on that? You study this stuff. Your thought?
Oh, we absolutely knew they were making it. They were enriching all that uranium. Mm-hmm. Last night, somebody had my parking space over in the town, or in the parking garage on Dickinson Street. So I parked my car on the street. Somebody got in it. I should not have had it parked on the street. I mean, what you need is a warning. They're yelling to kill you. Mm-hmm. What do you need? And maybe I've got those peace instincts too. I'm a veteran of one of those unpopular wars. But I think he was right. I don't think he's right about much, but he's right about that. Ted Cruz, not a guy I identify with. There's a guy that works for Fox named Lawrence Jones, the same name as my brother. He's a black guy. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got an urban way about him, kind of like listening to him. And it was on with Brett. And sometimes the simplest deliveries are the best. And he said, I hear a lot of people talk about Iran, how good it was under the Shah. He said, we need to know a lot of people over didn't like the Shah. Mm-hmm. The Shah was good for us. Mm-hmm. And he still is. I mean, I wish Carter would have saved him. But when you allow one kind of despotism to flourish, when you can see your handprints on it, another kind of despotism will flourish that is against you. We saw it in the Soviet Union. Nixon warned us about it. He said, if we don't help them get through this time for their transition into freedom, we will pay later on. I could play you the tape. He didn't say it like that, but that's what he said. And another imperfect guy, but he's wise.
Yeah.
And he wrote books about it. And we need to listen to people as they talk about these things. And I'm sorry we're where we are.
So what happens next, in your opinion?
You got to think about Iran, how they retaliate. So you think if you were them, how would you retaliate? They're not going to. I mean, first thing, you've got sleeper cells here that might retaliate big. But if you're them, what you're going to do is try to find out the name of the people flying those planes and kill them. Their names will eventually be out there. Find the name of go find the CIA guy in Virginia that Ben Affleck made the movie about. He's still alive. Kill him. The Prince of Iran, Pahlavi, he's still alive. Kill him. Kristi Noem, I'm not a fan. She was having that press conference, and here comes in that United States senator. Kill her. They could kill her. They could kill any one of his cabinet officers. They could kill Steve Miller. They could kill Senator Cruz. They kill you, kill me. These people worship death. And we worship life.
I am, and we'll say this, go to break, but when this happened and everybody, and it was, I think maybe the timing might have been a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise that it happened, I don't think. And automatically, people start talking about, as you said, retaliation. Well, I am just as concerned. I'm more concerned about the people living in America right now than I am about the people living in Iran. And whether it's sympathizers or whether it's people that because of the internet or whatever, just a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic, they scare me a lot more than what anybody living in Iran does.
Fair enough.
I mean, because we're seeing this now. And again, this is look what I guess after September 11th, Danny, it seemed like there was such a unification of America. I don't know. There were a few people on September 12th that came out and said, all right, pump the brakes. We don't want to think about our next move right now. Let's just mourn. But the majority of people in America, September 12th, 2001, the majority of people in America were like, let's go. Let's roll. And,
right.
They're all one big Toby Keith song. Let's go. And I'm going to say I was one of them. We're not today where we were back then. Mm-hmm. And immediately, I don't think that on September 12th, 2001, I don't know that an AOC or a Bernie Sanders or anybody like that comes out and immediately, or people of the Republican Party, which we've seen plenty of them, come out and immediately speak out against what President Trump did on Saturday night.
They'll be there. They're already starting.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that back then, I don't know that they would have done that.
Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm watching overnight on Fox on Saturday night, and there's a guy I met on the street of Washington, D.C. That's Saturday before 9/11. I'm in D.C. with Ellen Ratner. There's a few people that remember her. And Julian Epstein is walking on the street. I know who he is. In-your-face Democrat, John Conyers' lawyer, defended the Clintons on impeachment. And I walked up and introduced myself. Such a nice guy. He was on Fox with Trace Gallagher. Is that his name?
I forgot it. That's the name I haven't heard in a while, yeah.
And he was talking about the Obama-Biden time of appeasement. I'm thinking, wow. Come to me, Julian. I mean, I was shocked. Mm-hmm. And he's 62, 63 now. And people say, okay, he's Jewish. Mark Halpern's Jewish. They're liberals. They're all for President Trump. And Chris Christie's not Jewish. Mm-hmm. And I'm not. And a lot of people speaking out aren't. Mm-hmm. And I'm so down with Israel. I mean, I'm a Zionist. If you're for the existence of Israel, you're a Zionist. Mm-hmm. So he might kill you, might kill me.
Let's leave it there for a moment. 19 minutes away from 10. If you want to weigh in, Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-375-8936. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-375-8936, 800-375-8936, 800-375-8936.
My name's Chris Miller. I'm president of Dutch Miller Automotive. Jarrett Construction completely renovated and helped redesign Dutch Miller Kia in South Charleston. The fit and the finish and the quality of the project is exceptional. He has an attention to detail and an eye for that kind of stuff. You always want to give your best to your customer. It's just as important to him as it is to you. If you're ever looking to build anything, I'd call Jarrett Construction because you know exactly you're going to get something excellent every single time.
Call on Jarrett Construction.
17 minutes away from 10, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Meeks Realty Group. Great listing here in Tays Valley. 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhome in the heart of the Tays. It's a highly, highly sought-after school district. You know that. Big old awesome kitchen, 2 big bedrooms, plenty of closet space, too. It's right between Charleston and Huntington. Rich the Realtor, who, by the way, will be on the show tomorrow. You can call him up if you're interested, 304-932-7488. Talking to Danny Jones. Text says, all these leftists defending Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, etc., are despicable. Bin Laden, Muhammad Atta, and the other 18 9/11 terrorists are looking up from the fires of hell, laughing at how much easier the left and activist judges have made it for the jihad to continue against U.S., Israel, and the Western world, says a texter. Text says, I'm heading to D.C. tomorrow for business for a few days. I'm pretty nervous about it, says a texter.
There's an election tomorrow in New York City. Mm-hmm. It's going to affect us all.
In what way?
If Cuomo doesn't win the Democrat primary and they elect that socialist, he's for Iran. He's against this country. He's against you and me, Charleston, West Virginia, guns, everything we believe in. And it will affect every single one of us.
Even in New York City?
More. I mean, it'll affect us all. I mean, Bloomberg, Andrew Cuomo, or what is that his name? Andrew Cuomo. That's a hard pill to swallow. But once again, what's your way? Mm-hmm. And Bloomberg's on board with him. President Clinton's on board with him. And I just pray he wins. Because if he doesn't win, this socialist wins. Mm-hmm. The next 4 years in D.C., you think de Blasio was bad. And the usual suspects have endorsed him. AOC, Bernie Sanders. And he'll be cheering for Iran.
Text says, if Iran had any sense of retaliation, they'd retaliate in a way that makes the U.S. economy uncomfortable. If they come for blood, America will go right back for blood. If Iran messes with our economy, we'll be stirred up like hornets, blaming and stinging each other. I have said this before, and I didn't serve in the military, but many military experts have said that the big battles are going to happen. They're more likely to happen in that little thing that we carry in our pocket, in our phones, than what they are in the skies over America or anywhere else. Because infrastructure is where it's infrastructure, cybersecurity. That's the new battlefield. more than what it was when you served in Vietnam. That's where the battles are going to be right now. Now, is Iran, in my opinion, there's going to be retaliation, but I don't think it's going to be retaliation in the way that we think it's going to be retaliation.
It'll be their Confederates. Could be Red China. Could be Putin. It could be, one of the Iranian people is going to see Putin now. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah.
I actually read that this morning.
Yeah, and the obvious thing for them to do, and they said they're going to do it, I don't believe them, they're going to block the Strait of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. And that'll lead to big war, not just with us, but I was kind of taken back by the people that didn't support our president. And the people, British Prime Minister, he's right there. Macron is a little bit iffy, but nothing from NATO. Crickets. Mm-hmm. And, Trump's a hard guy to sell a message because so many people are some people will be for Iran because they hate Trump.
Right.
And I'm encouraging them, don't go down that road. It's not a good road to be on.
I mean, I think that's kind of where we are in the American political consciousness right now, and I'll just leave it here, forget about the other countries for a moment. We are so dug in with tribalism, Danny, and we are so all about our side and that the other guy sucks that we can't see beyond that. And that goes on both fronts for both. Look, I'm not a Trump guy. I voted for him twice. Did not vote for him this past time. However, he's my president, and I want him to do well, and I want America to do well. But Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing.
It's a disease.
It's a disease. And conversely, these people that are out to own the libs are pretty much the same. Pretty much the same way. Text says Trump pulled us into a war the same way W took us to war in Iraq needlessly. Danny, I hope you lead our young soldiers over there now.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Text says, Dave, you got to remember the majority of the anti-Semitic and anti-American scum supporting Palestine and Iran were not alive September 11th and do not want to know about it, so they don't know how we all came together to support and save each other. Race, gender, religion did not matter. They don't get that. Text says, how do we forget 9/11?
I want to reach out to the guy that texted and to my friends that are against President Trump. I'm not for him. I want to reach out to him at this moment and tell him that I know you're disappointed in me. But once again, politely, let's talk, because what's your way? I'm with you. I mean, help me. If you don't like what I'm saying, at least think about it. And once again, what's your way? I don't think we're going to have troops in a war unless we are actually victimized here in our homeland. Mm-hmm. But I'm just sorry the guy feels that way.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants. Poor indoor air quality can cause a variety of health issues. Pinnacle offers specialized indoor air quality services for residential, commercial, and industrial type settings. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can't hurt you. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
When I set out to build our firm, it was built for greatness. It was built for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Office 222 Capitol Street, Charleston. Cases will be handled by West Virginia licensed attorneys. The attorney in this ad is not licensed in West Virginia. ForThePeople.com.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Polka Valley Bank. Polka Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Polka Valley Bank locations today. Polka Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield, subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Polka Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Politicians in Congress are making deep cuts to Medicaid, and the consequences will be life and death. Nearly 1 in 3 of us are enrolled in Medicaid, but these reckless cuts could strip coverage for up to 94,000 West Virginians, pushing our uninsured rate to a historic high and harming people with disabilities, seniors, children, and veterans. We can stop it. Call Senator Capito and Senator Justice at 866-427-3406. Tell them no cuts to Medicaid. Paid for by the American Civil Liberties Union Incorporated and the ACLU of West Virginia Incorporated.
The latest in news, talk, and sports when 580 WCHS is brought to you by Jarrett Construction. Call 304-344-9140 for more information.
Right on time, right on budget. Call on Jarrett Construction.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by Generations Physical Therapy, the leading provider of outpatient PT in the Tri-State for nearly 30 years. For an appointment, 304-760-5660 or visit generationspt.com to check out the closest location near you. Danny Jones is here. Text says you can thank Biden and Obama for all the financial support that led to all the terrorism around the world. Thank God we have a president that had the courage to take action against the #1 terrorist nation.
That's basically what Julian Epstein said. You know, a hardcore Democrat. He was on for an hour or two. Now I'm sitting there just watching the guy, Julian. Come on, man. Yeah.
Text says Trump derangement syndrome afflicts Trump supporters the most. Once reasonable and kind, people became deranged when they got on the Trump train. Many of them did, Danny. Many, not all.
That's fair enough.
We can all, you and I and the texter can all agree on that.
You know, I'm from Charleston, and I'm from West Virginia. And I don't speak ill of Trump. And I tell my friends in California, they say, what are you people doing back there? I said, wait a minute. That's their call. That's not your call. Mm-hmm. I tell them. I said, why don't you tell them to knock it? I said, whoa, these are my friends you're talking about.
And because it's still America.
And because you people in California, we've seen how you run things in Los Angeles and San Francisco. And, I love that state. And I love down there where I am in Seal Beach and Long Beach. That's where the Marines stage, by the way, in Seal Beach to go into Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And, but I tell them, I say, knock it off, man. Those are my people. And I understand people that don't like them. I understand the people on the other side. But I just wish we could go back to 9/12.
Yeah, I've said it many times before. Older adults should protect themselves against severe respiratory disease. Talk to your doctor about flu, COVID-19, and RSV vaccines. Risk less, do more. Get started. Vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Text says, reports are this particular strike started taking shape 15 years ago. Who was the president then? Says the texter.
President Obama.
Text says, Dave, President Trump has done more to strengthen this country than any president in my 68 years of life.
Reagan. My personal opinion is Reagan. But, he started that war with the Soviet Union, the arms race, and they couldn't compete, so they folded. And we were free. We have a free Eastern Europe today because of President Reagan and then Vice President Bush. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad Reagan lived to see it. But Nixon warned us. He warned us about these despots.
Yeah, you're right.
And he went to the Shah's funeral, and he was talking about Sadat. And he asked Sadat, you're putting yourself in danger by having this funeral. He said, he was my friend. Shah was our friend. Mm-hmm. But then you think about what Lawrence Jones said. A lot of people didn't like the Shah. Mm-hmm. Most of the people in Iran don't like these mullahs, but they don't control things.
Right.
The mullahs do, and the crowds in the streets do. And you have to ask the mullahs permission to run for president. They kill their own people. They killed Goatsbidet in 1981. He was a spokesman for them. He, back here in America, said, you return the criminal Shaw. It killed him. Bani Sadr, who became president of Iran in 82. He had a little goatee and a mustache. He was very distinctive looking. He shaved his mustache and goatee and shaved his eyebrows and got on an airplane and flew it to Paris. They were going to kill him. They killed Bakhtiar. Bakhtiar was the last prime minister of Iran. He went to Paris. He was speaking out against them. They killed him. I'm surprised he hadn't killed the prince.
Text says, Dave, when President Trump promises something, he keeps his word. Thank you, President Trump. Text says, y'all been singing Reagan's song since the 1980s. Bomb, 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 Iran. Let me ask you this question, Danny. With the current situation that is going on with Israel and all that's going on over there and now Iran, do you feel more comfortable with President Trump in control than you would have with Joe Biden?
Well, if you had Joe Biden, you wouldn't have had this strike. If you had Kamala Harris, you wouldn't have the strike. I mean, because Biden didn't know where he was, and Kamala Harris wouldn't give an interview. Mm-hmm. And, on that moment, sure. What's your way? Mm-hmm. So the people don't like him. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm for you. I understand your feelings. I don't like him either.
But nobody seems to have a response other, and again, not to be too philosophical, Danny, but it goes back to where our political system is right now. The only thing that people, and I'm not talking about in West Virginia, I'm talking about outside West Virginia, the only thing that we have to run on, it seems, is I ain't him. Or I ain't her. That was, you got to elect Trump because he's better than Biden and better than Harris. Okay. And Harris, when Biden comes out and Harris comes out, and basically all they had to say was, we're not Donald Trump. That's not enough, in my opinion, to successfully lead a nation.
I left my car on the street. It's, you've got to look to see what's coming. You got to be smart enough to, I agree with you. And I'm not a fan of J.D. Vance, not even close. I like Rubio. He was on Face the Nation. You want to see who's making the decision, watch that clip with him and Margaret Brennan arguing. She says she's right. You're a reporter. Shut up. Anyway. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you in part by Hudson's Pizza. This month, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and a whole 10-inch sub for $23.99. Find your closest Hudson's for delivery, pickup, or dine-in by going to Hudson'sPizza.com. Danny, always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thanks a lot. I'm honored.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. TJ Meadows is here. Talk line is coming up. What you got, buddy?
10:06, we talk with William Dunn, retired Marine Corps colonel on the Iran airstrikes over the weekend. 10:33, Greg Thomas stops by. Political strategist on the Republican side. We'll talk economic development and politics. Jeff Nordine from Metro News AccuWeather on this heat wave. Mike McKenna, our good friend, columnist at the Washington Times, former Trump administration staffer. He's in at 11:06. Robert Bolton, political science professor at Fairmont State, on the political fallout from Iran at 11:33.
All right, I'll be back with Metro News Midday. No Amanda Barron this week as she is on vacation. She'll be back with us next week. Coming up on this show tomorrow, Sean Hill from KRT stops by and Rich the Realtor. See you later. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston and 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.